Good afternoon, Red Foxes. I'm here this afternoon with a quick recap of today's race at MIT and a preview of next weekend's race. We had a duel this morning with MIT in Boston, as usual. I think this is our fifth or sixth running of this event with MIT, which has been a great ongoing rivalry between the two teams. Typical, pretty classic Northeast weather. We had very strong, gusty tailwind of about 8 to 15 miles an hour, depending on where you were on the course and what time it was and what was going on at any given time. So challenging conditions. It was very fast racing because of the tailwind. So I'll jump right in. We had the third varsity and fourth varsity eights raced first. The Marist third varsity, the start was great. All three boats were very even off the start line. The fourth varsity, Marist fourth varsity, actually took a little lead in the very early going of that race of about a seat or two during the starting strokes. And then as we got into like the main rhythm of the piece, the Marist 3V and the MIT 3V kind of pulled away together, away from the Marist fourth varsity by maybe about 4 seats by the time they got to the 500 meter mark. And then in the second 500, the Marist 3V really put a statement on the race and pulled away during that 500 to maybe a seat or so of open water by the time they got to the 1,000 meter mark. So made a huge move, and that really stretched the race out. So by the end of that 1,000 meters, the first 1,000 meters, the 3V was ahead by about a deck-to-deck margin over MIT, so about a length. And MIT was up by about a length over Marist 4V. In the third 500, the margins continued to stretch between those crews, and we ended up with kind of coming into the fourth 500, the final 500, the margins had stretched out where the Marist 3V was about a length of water open on the MIT 3V, and MIT's 3V was about a length of open water on the Marist 3V. And last 500, Marist 3V continued to pull away, and Marist 4V crept up a little bit on MIT, and so the final margin was about a 10-second difference between the Marist 3V, who won the race, back to the MIT third varsity, and then it was about a 7-second margin from the MIT 3V back to the Marist fourth varsity. So a good race. It was well executed. MIT put up a good fight in the early part of that race, and then once Marist kind of got control during that segment, was able to stretch things out. The second varsity 8 race was much closer fought. Marist and MIT had a really good fight in the early going of that piece. Marist ended up getting, I want to say, maybe a 2 or 3 seat advantage in the first 500 meters, and then there was a lot of back and forth from that moment where the two boats were really going after it and trying to see who was going to break first. Marist made a great move, probably at about the 800 meter mark, 800 or 900 meters, not quite to the 1,000, to pull up about 4 seats on MIT's crew. And then after that, we're able to kind of slowly creep up a little bit more over the next 500. And then coming into the final 500 meters, they were about deck to deck, and that's pretty much where they finished. Both boats made some different moves during the last part of the race, but the final margin ended up being about the same as where we entered that final 500. So it was a Marist win by about 3 seconds. So bow to stern, essentially a boat length of difference between the two crews. So that was a great race, very hard fought. I'm gonna post our video that we took on the water for anyone who wants to watch the replay of the races. That one I didn't quite wasn't able to get the camera zoomed in super well so you could see really well, but you can hear the race call, and it was a great race, fun to watch. The Varsity 8 race was very similar, probably a little bit more closely fought in the earlier part of the race, but with the margin ultimately going the other way for MIT. So that race, we went off the line really hard. Both boats really got after it in the early part of racing. And Marist really put a statement out in the first 1,000 meters of that piece to hang with MIT, which was our goal for that piece, was to really show that crew that we were going to hang with them. And then at one point probably had about a seat or two up on MIT, probably around like the 700 or 800 meter mark. Again, you can go back and watch the video, but the first 1,000 meters was just absolutely gangbusters for both crews. It was very, very closely contested. Third 500, Marist faded a little bit. The MIT guys made a nice move right around the 1,000 meter mark, and they were able to walk up about 4 seats, and then made a second move and were able to walk up to about a deck-to-deck margin, about a boat length back. And Marist made a couple moves to try to break back in over the course of the last 500, but ultimately that margin pretty much stayed the same, as similar to the 2V race, where we ended up about a boat length back. It was a 3-second margin roughly between the crews at the finish. So my kind of personal feedback on the race, I thought all of our boats had great races. The 3V obviously had a dominant performance. That was really fun to watch. The fourth Varsity, I think, had a great early part of the piece, had some stumbles down the stretch, and maybe just wasn't able to hang with the pace down the stretch, but then at the end of the race found themselves kind of crawling back into MIT's crew. And so I think maybe that's a little lesson learned for that boat of needing to stay more in contact during the body of the piece, and maybe giving a little bit more to the like rhythm section, the middle 1,000 meters, to kind of hang where we need to hang in order to set ourselves up for success in a sprint. The second Varsity 8 was a really great close race. It was cool to see that boat execute that race and come out on top. Second year in a row that we've won the second Varsity 8 race at this event, which is fun to see, and obviously very good very good news for the future, for building our future crews. And then the varsity, I also thought was a very close race, and very well fought. Coach Stratton and I were looking back at last year's results, and we had about a 14-second losing margin last year at this race with our top varsity 8. And for a boat that is mostly composed of freshmen with 2 sophomores and a senior in tow, this was a really good result, and I'm very pleased, even just with the progress that we made this week in what was ultimately not a very productive week here at home. We had bad weather most days. The varsity missed half the workout, the main workout of the week on Tuesday, with an athlete who was injured in the middle of that workout. Then we had a changed lineup that got to row together really once. Yesterday was a crapshoot because of weather and packing and so forth. And so to be able to come out swinging in a race with a new lineup that hadn't been developed and get after it the way they did, I was really pleased with that result. So there's some frustration for those guys. Obviously, it's hard watching your teammates win and you take a loss. Nobody wants to lose a race anyway. It is the nature of a crew like MIT that their crew is much quicker at the top end of their team and has a little bit less depth than a team like Marist does, and so that's part of the challenge. But I think that overall is very good news for all of our boats, including the varsity 8, and the margins were small enough in that race that I think we have a good shot at progressing and developing the boat that we have down the stretch here of the season, and working to find some of those seconds. So Coach Stratton and I walked away from today very excited to see what we can do over the next month and a half as we get ready for the NIRC regatta in May. Next week, we will be back up in Boston. We have our duel with a series of the top D3 programs in the country. Tufts, Wesleyan, and Bates will all be there, who are all perennial rivals at the NIRC every year. Wesleyan was the fastest D3 in the country last year. I believe Tufts was second or third at the IRA last year for D3s, and Bates, as many of you know, has been a big rival for a long time at that regatta. So a great group of schools. This will be our first year at that event. Shout out to Tufts for inviting us, and we're looking forward to having a great race there. I don't have race times or anything yet, but I will be sending those out on our Facebook and email and everything, and updating everyone when we know more. Racing is going to start around 10 a.m. at that event, and it will be at the Tufts Boathouse, which is right there near Boston. Sorry, I'm going to look up the town that it's in. It's on it's on a pond of some kind. And the name of it is slipping my mind right now. So it is in Medford, Massachusetts. It's the Tufts Boathouse, and it's on the Malden River. Right near it's right in a park called the Park at River's Edge. So looking forward to a nice little race there with Tufts. And we hope that you'll join us. And we're looking forward to seeing some more of you there. Special thanks to the alumni who came and watched us race today, especially Alexander Missert and Chris Crawley, who stopped by and came out in the launch with us to cheer the guys on. Looking forward to some more great racing, and I was both Coach Stratton and I were very excited about how we did today. There's some great energy, and looking forward to getting back to training, finding some more speed, and we'll see everyone next week.